Well, ladies and gentlemen, the dust had finally settled a few days after the release of. And I thought I had this like kind of like long drawn out introduction that I wanted to do, but just simply, I mean, was this even a friggin' surprise that this thing was going to be a blockbuster? Um, I've talked about it a number of occasions over the last 6 months, and people are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna buy it. I don't believe in the mint and blah blah blah, this and that." I don't believe in the price hikes. Period. Straight. Just that is what I don't believe in, which diminishes what I feel like could be a very good company that you could buy from. I don't respect the fact for one bit that the U.S. Mint jacked up the prices of all of their silver product by 20-25%. I just don't. And then go out and say, well, due to the rising costs of silver, yeah, it went up like $2-3 an ounce. But does that justify a $30 price hike on things like this? It really doesn't. So that was my initial gripe, and that is one that even to this day, I'm not giving any free passes on. I'm just not. But I had a lot of people say, "Well, that's just junk." I'm not going to invest in this. I'm not going to buy any of it. I'm not going to deal with the U.S. Mint shenanigans or the website slowdowns. Which, by the way, there was no slowdowns whatsoever. This thing was available pretty much all day on the day that it was released on the 15th. So you could have very well popped on, at 9 o'clock in the morning to buy one. You could have came up at noontime during your lunch and buy one. You could have came up much later. It eventually sold out. It sold out. There's going to be no more released, and it has become one of the most talked about not only coins in the hobby today, but one of the most talked about U.S. Mint releases, which we haven't had since the inception of the Morgan and Peace dollars 3 years ago. So that kind of, if that paints the picture of how uninvolved the Mint has been at putting out some blockbuster releases, I don't know what does. And I'm here to say the saga is not over yet. It's not. We're going to talk about why that's the case here in a few moments. It might even be like 15 minutes from now because I have a lot to talk about here with this one. So, the flowing hair design is a 230th anniversary reimagined piece using the original design and artwork and everything like that from the original 1794 flowing hair dollar. All right, it has everything. I mean, I got my one here. I ended up paying, and I thought I was stupid for doing this. I paid for overnight shipping. And it was $21. So in reality, I ended up paying like $130 for this thing. But guess what? It's worth a whole lot more than that $130. We'll even talk about market valuation. So this thing, 75,000 made, um, as kind of like a last second add on here. It's not really last second. The Mint had shared this extra little Easter egg tidbit with everyone that they were going to be putting a 230 anniversary privy mark, like on a scroll, right on that coin. That's how it looked like this. Okay? Some of you have received some. Bravo. It's all it's all in luck. Yeah, I firmly believe that. But it also represents that if you have the ability to get multiples of these things, that betters your chances and your odds of receiving one. Okay, that's undeniable. The same way with like playing the lottery, you gotta have a better odds of winning the lottery if you bought one ticket or if you bought 100. All right, again, it's all about the odds. So 1,794. How cute that they use that number. Of the 75,000 that they had made, they were going to have 230 privy marks on them. All right. And not only that, another thing, and this is I kind of like the direction of where they're going with this, where they're adding in exclusivity. Um, it's a chase unlike any other. And the last couple times they did this, it was hot. It was hot. Um, 230 of that 1,794 will have a signed COA by Ventures Gibson, who is the mint director. All in all, I gave the product, I gave the overall look of the coin, the final product, the presentation, the quality, the Easter egg hunt thing on this one. I gave this one an A plus plus plus. And even at $104, a lot of people did not really think that there would be more enhancement to the value of this piece at $104. Couldn't be any more wrong. When something is this hot and is this popular comes out, it's going to make a huge difference on the value of the item. All right, much like that, we saw the 2019 Silver Eagles with the enhanced reverse. Those things I knew right off the rip were going to be some of the biggest friggin' coins that you could have bought from the US Mint for under $100. People took advantage of that. At the time, they did not have the waiting room technology implemented into their website, so you were kind of left banging your head against the wall trying to order one of those things when it was released. Okay, Pepperidge Farm remembers that ordeal. Even I did. I couldn't have ordered one because I was on an airplane when it released. I was shut out. But getting back to this, there's been a lot of controversy. There's been a lot of things happening to this. Like, some of you probably are not aware that the U.S. Mint, through contractual obligations to its dealer partners, they have withheld 10% of the $75,000 to sell directly to dealers. And guess what? The dealers ended up getting their metals about a week or two before the initial release to the general public on October 15th. And then right off the bat, people were up in arms. Why are the dealers getting this early? Why are already 30 coins graded by PCGS with the privy mark? Yeah, I mean this was all data that was found out the morning of the release of this product. As a matter of fact, it was the day before of that evening. Because people were getting ready. People knew they had to get up early, especially if you were on the West Coast, to order this. But it was like, well, it's one of these things, damn if you do, damn if you don't. As far as good press as the U.S. Mint, and it's, to just trying to do good to the collecting public by offering something like this, which, 60 days ago, there was no announcement whatsoever of a 230 privy mark, let alone the signed COA. All right, so that wasn't even added to this. This was kind of like an afterthought, kind of a bonus, because I talked about this metal and how much people need to kind of like pay attention to it because of how awesome it looks. I had more than my fair share of protagonists, but also at the same time, I had a lot of people that are just haters of the U.S. Mint. But I'm willing to fucking bet that some of these same people ended up buying this after they found out about the Easter egg, anyways. And then some of those same naysayers, so those negative assholes, ended up receiving a privy mark, when in reality they probably did not deserve it in the first place. So, there was a lot of negativity surrounding this product. And it's unneeded. There's so much negativity surrounding this hobby that we kind of lose track of the fact that it is a hobby, all right, and not some other thing happening where someone hacked your bank account and stole $10,000 out of your kids' fund. I mean that's a lot more to lose your head over than coins and this hobby, right? It's like getting pissed off at the person that painted a canvas fine art And it's like, oh, I don't like it. I didn't like the way you did this. So I'm like, there's no wrong way to do art, stupid. There's no wrong way to collect in the hobby, stupid. You know? But there's a lot of a lot of those naysayers. There's a lot of negativity. If you don't want it, don't buy it. But I don't want to hear your diatribes about how much, you know, you hate the US Mint and, you know, and everything like that. Nobody gives a shit at the end of the day. Because even regular common folks can realize capitalism, and they're able to buy this and then turn around and flip it for $200. All well and good. People recognize the fact that it could be a hot potato coin. But at 75,000 pieces, it's low enough of a mintage that this has quite a bit of staying power. And especially those examples that have that 230 privy mark are going to be absolute blockbusters for year to come. Okay, the only thing that will diminish the value of this particular coin or metal is if they redid it again for next year and did a 231 privy mark. It's stupid, I know. And some would say, well, that's impossible. They would never do that. Well, we didn't think they would do that with the piece of Morgan dollar, right? It's kind of weird and auspicious that they did it on the 2021 100-year anniversary date of both coins. Skipped a year, 2022, and then 23, they brought it back. It's like, oh, this is too big of a cash grab that we just can't ignore. We might as well just continue to ride the train and, you know, stuff all the profit on this thing and just let it do its thing. Add it as part of one of the regular lineup of products that they produce every year. I hope they don't do that with this. It is a metal. And then again, that's another thing that people have kind of been negative on. It's a metal and not a coin with an actual face value. Now, originally, when the design was conceptualized, it was meant to be like a commemorative coin. It had a face value of $50 or $1 or whatever the case may be. So, about a few months later, right after the beginning of this year, the Mint had changed course. They're like, we're going to instead do this as a metal and not as a coin. Okay, as a coin, it probably has a reeded edge and all that stuff. But it'll also be designated as actual live currency that you could just go to any store and then spend it like regular money. Okay, and that's what we have here. Me personally, I don't care. I think the metal looks beautiful. It's incredibly high relief. It's awesome. All right. So I'm trying to figure out the sequence of events that I want to do in this video to make it, you know, flow. I figure we're going to go ahead and talk about how much these things have been selling for. What are people asking for them? More appropriately, the amount of money that people are asking for not only the 230 privy marks standalone, but also the ones and the folks that did end up finding the certificate of authenticity that's signed by the Mint director, which adds a whole bunch of value. And I think maybe PCGS or one of them probably can grade the COA separately like they did on previous releases. I mean, as you could see, just huge price tags. You know, if you ended up buying one, you ended up with a privy with the COA. I mean, congratulations. That is like winning the lottery, and there's only 230 of them out of 75,000 possibilities. Now, when we were talking about the designation of 10% of the entire run to the dealers, yeah, that equates to roughly 7,500 of that 75,000 that were already promised to the dealers based off of the contractual agreements, you know. And then those folks, you know, some of you don't know that they have to spend like $1 million a year through the U.S. Mint on the contract. Okay, if they don't, that's a breach of the contract. So, yeah, it was kind of weird the fact that they added this piece to the allocation for the dealers. There are certain coins where they don't do that, but this one they did add it on there. And that really drew the ire of the collecting community at large. You know, that was interested in these. It's like, you know, I mean, might I remind you that this thing did not sell out immediately? That you could have came on at any point during the day and ordered one. You know, it's like, who cares if the dealers ended up with a few of these? Who cares? You know, they're out there and they're getting those advanced pieces that are going to be graded, and it's like, you want it, fine. If you don't, fine. You know, who cares? Um, but yeah, the prices and the expectation thereof is through the roof. You know, five figures on these COAs. Um, there are graded NGC pieces. These things are sexy in that black holder with the privy mark. The prices are quite high for the ask. Now the question is it worth this? You know, is it worth seven, eight, nine, $10,000 for just the privy mark versions? You know, um, and you won't really know looking at this. You actually have to go into sold listings, and you know, none of the COAs have sold yet. All the ones that have sold are just the privy mark, which again, that's 1,794 pieces, and they have been following somewhere in that $3,500 to $4,500. I've kind of seen a wide range of these, and predominantly it's for the raw ungraded pieces. So there's a few graded pieces that are available, but no one has bid on them yet. What is that market like? And the only way that we'll know what the market's going to be like on a perfect 70 privy is if someone like a dealer or a regular person that ended up with one of these that graded it, is if they put it on eBay and just let it ride for 5 days, 7 days, and see what that ultimate outcome is going to be. We do know it's going to be more than $4,000, you know, which is kind of like the average of what a non-graded privy coin goes for, and probably somewhere south of like seven. I don't know where that number is, but apparently $7,500 to $9,000, $10,000 is way too far out of range for that. Especially when the raw ones are selling for less than half of that. There were even a few that sold for around $1,000. I mean, feel sorry for that. That's the problem with doing advance ordering on here. These were, you know, the expectation is, hey, we're gonna end up with a few of these. Don't know how, unless you were a dealer and you couldn't read that crystal ball hard enough to figure out that these things were actually going to be $3,000 to $4,000. You know, there are things like this that happen, and they're going to end up refunding this for two reasons. Either they're going to end up not having these in hand, or number two, they've realized that, oh crap, we sold these for way too cheap. And, you know, as opposed to fulfilling the order and then going about their promise of fulfilling the order at the price that was agreed upon, they're like, screw this. We're just going to refund it and then resell it for 3 or 4. And then, you know, it's like, oh, we think differently of that seller now because they did that. Actual mid-state 70 versions have been selling for right around $500. You know, that's the average. You could get some for cheaper. I think a day or two later, they have adjusted, you know, to right around $400 on a lot of these. There were even some that people were selling way back in September, you know, long before, you know, the product actually went on sale, and long before that the dealers were actually able to grab a hold of these. So as far as raw non-privy examples, you know, like the ones that you and I probably have, let's see, I think they're still somewhere around $200. Yeah, 194. Okay, for that one there, a couple privies, 200 here, 200 here, 250 here. It's that nothing that's more extraordinary. It's just the same coin. People will pay whatever they want to pay. But $200 seems to be the going rate on these. Okay, which is pretty close to being a 2x profit on these. You know, probably 85% profit at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, you know, they're still out there. People are selling the regular ones, and people, you know, you buy it because you like it. All right. But all of this negativity talk about people, you know, buying these and taking advantage of the capitalism aspect of it, It's so far off base. We live in a capitalism world where people are allowed to make a profit. Um, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what we do in life. If you're sitting there making $8 an hour and then you're bashing these people, for making $90 profit, it's like recognizing that opportunity, makes them a hero, and you don't diminish what they do, because they have been well educated. They've been, on the front page of the news of the coin world, recognizing that this is going to be a thing. Um, Pop wise, PCGS. I'm not gonna pull up NGC or anything like that. So they got they have it broken down with the regular metal. Okay, that's like the one that I have here. 2058. Okay, a large majority of these did come back 70, 1639 out of the 2058 and 70. 69's come out to 419, and then there are some privy mark pieces. This number has grown a little bit, nearly 2.5x, because it was right around like 28, 30 before the release of the coin. 72, 58, and 70. Again, a large majority of them are coming back perfect quality, and then 14 and 69. All right. So that's where we're looking at there. So I did say that this whole saga is not over yet. Okay, and the big reason why, if we go back into the product schedule for this year, you go all the way to the end of the year. Guess what? There's a gold version of this coin that they're going to be selling on November 14th. I'm going to throw it out there and say that, yeah, some of these will be available to dealers. As of right now, they did not announce anything extra on this. There's not even a picture of the coin or the metal. Actually, this one is the coin. This one is a coin, not a metal. It's going to have an actual face value to it. I mean, you could go out and spend it at Starbucks if you wanted to. But it's going to be in 24 karat gold, so 999 fine. Quantities are limited, no kidding. 17,500. Seems like a lot. It's really not. It's nothing. And I believe it's 1 ounce. So you can imagine what kind of crazy premium this one is going to have when it goes on sale. If gold right now, and I'm using an average, if it's $2,700 an ounce, they're probably going to end up having this one at $3,800, $4,000. Yeah, that's a lot of money. But guess what? It will sell out. It might be a dealer specific type thing. I don't know, but this thing will be crazy. And who knows what kind of other Easter egg stuff they're going to put on this one. But what we do know, it's going to be a coin. All right, that's the popular opinion on these particular releases. We want coins. We don't want metals. They're going to stand true to this gold release of being a coin of some sort of face value on it. 17,500 mintage product limit. That is it. Household order limit of 1. It's going to be cool. It's probably well out of my price range, because I would love to own one of these in gold. I think that would just be the icing of the cake of a product that not a lot of people at the beginning gave it any sort of credence whatsoever. But as you can tell, the results of the silver release couldn't have been any more louder in the community. People are talking about this. They're talking about it in the most positive of ways. I'm sure if you're a regular person that ended up ordering one of these and got a privy mark, you are probably over the moon happy with it. Me personally, I didn't get a privy mark and I don't care. I just wanted one because this was by far one of my favorite designs. Lady Liberty even has the nice rosy apple cheeks on there. It's like a modernized, just really close to true to Robert Scott's original design, reimagined on a modern piece. And I think it turned out really good. So that's what I wanted to talk about in this one. Yeah, there was a lot of things going on. The saga's not over. The gold will be coming here in about 4 weeks or whatever it is. Of course, people are going to be still talking about these, and the sales are going to be the sales. I would say that if you did want one of these, I think the price will settle down. Is $150 reasonable? Could be. I don't know. I don't know. This one right here, the Morgan and Peace, I kind of pegged pretty well on what the trajectory of that market is. This one right here, I don't know. I know metals in general because of their low mintage, and especially the armed forces ones with the Navy, Air Force, Army, and all that. They are quite popular. This one, I'm not really sure. I don't know. I'd like to think and say that the market will just be really good as long as they only release this year. All right, I don't want to see it next year. So that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about on this one. Nothing really new to cover. I kind of rehashing what everybody else is saying, but also putting it all in one video. But personally, kind of like being the kind of the voice of the voiceless out there, and to kind of put the naysayers in their place. It's like you were talking shit about this coin, but yet you still bought one, and you got the privy mark. You were like throwing it in people's faces. I know some of you. I know some of you that did that shit. And it's like you're fake. You're fake as all get out when you do stuff like that. And it's like that's not the community that we're trying to grow here in this. It's like there are other things that you can get more upset over. This is not one of them. This is a damn hobby. It's like doing needlepoint or putting together a 5,000 piece puzzle. It's like, don't get mad at the process. Don't get pissed off at other people for doing it. That's it. That's that. All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a great Sunday, y'all.